It's the same, you know, the land here in New Mexico and in Jordan. You know, I see it's the same, you know, it's desert.
The daughter of a Navajo mother with a Palestinian stepfather, both of them in the business, Amber Tom has this shrewd assessment of the sometimes tense relationships between Native American artists and Palestinian traders.
They help each other in a way, you know, but I think that sometimes they don't know that, you know.
I'm gonna burn this sage right now.
Larry Anderson is a Navajo medicine man and legislator, tribal leader, and frequently cultural ambassador. He just hates one of Nash Khalaf's Indian arts and crafts innovations, the Navajo Jewelry Factory.
Let's talk about Gallup. Many of these traders, they hire Indian people and produce these jewelries in mass quantities. And so the whole intention of it, you know, is not real no more. It's fake.
But to Gay Brown de Alvarez, an editor at the Gallup Independent, those factories mean jobs.
Since 1973, there are a lot of places that weren't here before where there's 50 jewelers employed.
On the reservation, where there are simply too few first jobs, almost everybody's second job is making or selling arts and crafts.
I think it's always been a buyer's market here with 200,000 people out on the reservation, and most of them doing some kind of arts or crafts, either weaving rugs or making earrings, beading necklaces, making baskets. They come into this town to sell, and there's just a lot of them.
Gallup's investment in a performance space for Native American ceremonials makes a very traditional connection.
Before the trading posts, trade was conducted at the same time that there were gatherings. There were harvests, there were dances, there were feasts.
This ceremonial dance celebrating Navajo war veterans is not Navajo. It's a dance from the Plains Indians from Oklahoma. But like factory-made jewelry, it does reach a market. It does boost tourism, and hopefully it brings some customers to the shops that sell Native American craft work. But that's another traditional connection between Native arts and buyers' demands.
Navajo didn't ever weave rugs per se. They wove blankets. And it didn't take long for the trader to realize that they're not going to be able to sell a blanket. They can't compete with Sears Roebuck and Montgomery Ward's and other people who just made commercial blankets. But they could compete in the field of rugs.
The same was true for pottery.
In the Rio Grande area of New Mexico, the women had been doing these large water jars for their own use. And when in the 1880s, when the railroad came through, then they started producing smaller pots because they could sell to the tourists.
And the same is also true for jewelry.
Please, but a little bit, maybe a little bit longer. And good price, okay?
Better price?
I used to work in Zuni for a Palestinian trader, and I've seen him actually tell them, no, I don't want anything with a leaf on the side or anything with malachite. I want it to be turquoise and pearl. And he would actually dictate to them how he wanted it, what he thought he could sell.
In all these media, the artists face the same problem, getting the best price for their work in an oversaturated market. For those Native Americans who don't want to sell wholesale to a trader or work in one of those factories, there are some alternatives. Direct retail at the flea markets.
I make all these.
These are 10. Those are 10.
Or a stall of your own at a mini market like the one Ralph Richards has in front of his restaurant.
The vendor program, we've been probably doing that for over 40 years, as long as I can remember. We're giving back to the local Native American residents of our community by giving them the opportunity to do business just like anybody else. We usually let them walk around from table to table, and they make a great living at it, and it's just a great partnership, and it helps them have a better quality of life, and it also brings in business to our doors.
In this elementary school gymnasium, yet another form of competition, the Crown Point Rug Auction. For almost 40 years, the rug auction has been devoted to two things: celebrating the art of Navajo weaving and eliminating the middleman.
They started the rug auction back in '68, The reason why they started it is because, you know, they did want to get good money for the weavers.
Oh, this one's my mom's rug. Pretty good size.
Weavers like Zani Gilmore and her daughter Rita.
This is my rug.
Crown Point Rug Auction charges a 15% commission on sales, but the rest goes straight to the artist.
Zani Gilmore, 600 Nelson.
It's very important to them because a lot of these women, they might be single parent, they might be grandparents especially, you know, and they do take care of grandchildren.
And look at this nice big rug.
It probably takes about 2 months to make a big rug. Weaving, that's how they make their living.
700, yes ma'am, you got it.
2 days after the auction, Zani Gilmore welcomed us to her ranch, where she raises sheep for their wool and works at her loom, often filling commissions that she gets from customers at the Crown Point auction. It's hard work for a woman in her 60s.
Her arms hurt. She starts to get pains, and then her legs right around her knees, you know.
How old was she when she made a rug that she could sell?
The first rug that she made, 10 or 11 years old.
Weaving a rug takes a long time.
For that kind of a rug, I'll probably take her about 2 weeks to get done weaving.
A price that Zani's son-in-law and translator Toby said was well above average, but even at that, deduct about $80 for materials and discount the time herding and shearing the sheep and finding the right wildflowers for dyes, and it's not a lot of money left over.
When she sells her rugs, you know, that's the only income that she pays with her vehicle. And then plus the groceries and the utility bills.
Zani says with the commission, her Crown Point sales net her about the same as what she gets from her traders. It's not enough, but it's what there is. Often the differences between the Navajo artists and the Palestinian traders have less to do with a collision of interests than they do with the near miss of completely different worldviews. Take, for example, looking at this beautiful landscape. A Navajo sees the earth, which is his mother, the home to his family and tribe, the exact location of many of his legends. While for the Palestinian traders, this landscape, lovely as it is, exists almost entirely as a reminder of somewhere else.
Where I come from is basically desert. And people, they made it look like heaven because of their love to the land.
Once you go south of Jericho and then you go to Jordan, yes, then you start to see, as what you see here, Gallup and the west of New Mexico.
2-3 years, I will retire in Palestine because it's for my boys. I want them to learn the culture, everything, the history of Palestine and the religion.
The Navajos, they don't believe in God, you know, they believe in spirits. But for Islam, you know, there's one God for everyone. And it's the same God. It's Allah.
Religion attracts Amber Tom. Like her stepfather, she's ready to settle in the Middle East if there were a peaceful Palestine where traders could trade and women could lead normal lives.
Every day that I was there, it crossed my mind every day. And when I'm here in Gallup, it crossed my mind too. And I really like it, and I hope so, that maybe I'll move there. I really feel like I'm at home.
To some in Gallup, the Islamic Mosque is a strange place. But to others, its symbolic meaning is just the opposite. Not estrangement from Gallup, but rootedness in it. At least that's how Ralph Richards of Earl's Restaurant sees it.
They brought us a nice gift for our hospital. They went down to the local mosque and they donated $25,000. I mean, and people don't see that, you know. Yes, it's just unbelievable that someone would give $25,000 of their hard-working money.
And from his home on the reservation not far from Gallup, Navajo leader Larry Anderson sees another kind of rootedness. roots between peoples, Palestinians and Indians.
Many of our military people have come home and they told their grandparents, they told their families here that those Arab people lived almost the same as us. They eat mutton, they eat sheep, and they herd sheep. They have a lot of similar things that they do almost as we as Navajos. And so there is some sort of relationship there.
It's the same kind of relationship Larry felt during a trip to a refugee camp in Lebanon.
I felt very welcome. As a matter of fact, one little girl came up to me, I believe it was a Palestinian girl, and she put her arms next to mine like that, and she says, 2 colors, 1, I guess meaning one people.
In Gallup, the artistry of the local Indians has drawn all kinds of people: Native Americans, white Americans, Spanish settlers from the 17th century, Palestinian settlers from the 20th century. And it keeps them working and trading together in some kind of imperfect but functioning American unity. Dave Marash, Al Jazeera, Gallup, New Mexico.